What's going on, guys? Kevin the Tech Ninja here, and welcome to my year wrap up of the best phones you can buy this holiday season at any budget. This one's a little tough because we've had so many great phones come out this year and so many of them are incredible for the price. Now, I am going to skip a couple of budgets because sometimes it makes more sense to spend less to get more, or spend a little bit more and to get a much better phone. So this video is going to be pretty crazy and probably controversial, so I do want to hear what your list is down below, and I may feature it in an upcoming video. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get on with it. Coming in at just $100 is the Nokia 2.2. No, it's not too good to be true, but you do get a decent little phone. A solid 5.7-inch HD display and a decent MediaTek MT6761 processor. It's good enough to run regular applications like Twitter, YouTube, mail, etc., but nothing too intense. What really stands out about it is the large 3000 mAh battery, support for NFC, which is huge for Google Pay, and lots of storage, 32 gigabytes out of the box and up to 400 gigabytes via microSD. With only 3 gigabytes of RAM, you are going to be limited when it comes to multitasking. But because the phone is part of Google's Android One program, you'll get major OS updates up until 2021 and security patches up until June 2022. It's a great overall phone for a no-frills user or a kid's first phone. Bumping up to $200, we have the Moto G Fast. This adds a fingerprint scanner, a premium build, and a USB Type-C port into the mix, which was not found on the Nokia. It also gives you a decent 6.4-inch HD Plus display, thin bezels, and also a strong focus on hardware and software integration. For example, you have Qualcomm Snapdragon 665 processor, and things are pretty smooth with Motorola's clean interface backed by things like Moto Actions. And for me, one of the plus points has to be the 4000 mAh battery and a versatile camera setup. You can use this phone for a very long time before you consider charging it. Also with the camera, it's 16 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 megapixel macro, along with an 8 megapixel selfie camera. And the picture samples I've seen that came out of it are actually not that bad. These next few phones are getting up there in price, and that is why a warranty is something you should consider. And this leads us into today's sponsor, Upsy. Now, if you're buying a smartphone from this list, it's a good chance that Upsy will cover it. And if you have an iPhone, there's a huge advantage using Upsy. So Upsy is cheaper than Apple Care's warranty, and you can still get the same benefits using the Apple Genius Bar. Upsy will then reimburse you the repairs for your phone. And number two, you can use multiple claims on the same device up until the cost of the device, whereas on Apple Care, you can only do 2 warranty repairs on one device. I know this video is talk about phones, but Upsy can also cover other devices too, like headphones, TVs, appliances, and even video games. Their website is clear, there's no small text that you have to read through, and also you have up to 120 days to purchase the warranty, so if you bought something, let's say last month or 2 months ago, you still have time to do it. And also if you apply the coupon code TechNinja, you get 10% off. Once again, a big thanks to today's sponsor, Upsy. So at $300, picks can become a bit hazy, but I think once again, Motorola's dominating the budget landscape has to be the Motorola One 5G. This is a phone that retails for close to $450, but it's at $300 right now, and it's been for a little bit. Now for this price, it gives you some outstanding value and more. Obviously 5G, a clean Android interface, and those are kind of the main selling points. It does have Snapdragon 765 processor, which can play some games and multitask. You do have 4 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabyte of storage. Of course, this phone is pretty big and thick, so if you do want a large screen, this is a good phone for that. And when I say it's big, it's 6.7 inches, 21:9 aspect ratio, and a 5000 mAh battery, also 48 megapixel quad camera setup. And yeah, that is pretty good. And I say for the money, this is Probably the best 5G phone you could actually buy, and for 300 bucks, it is a no-brainer if that's your budget. Of course, there are going to be ways you can improve, and that's where my $400 pick comes into the mix, and this is the Google Pixel 4a. This smartphone is not so much about numbers, but more so about experience. It has Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G processor and the full stock Android experience on a 5.81-inch Full HD OLED display. Things like stereo speakers are added bonus at this price, but you're restricted with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage with no way to expand it at all. And the reason I picked this phone, it has a killer camera. It doesn't have wide angle, doesn't have telephoto lens. It's only 12.2 megapixel, but let me tell you, the images are fantastic that comes out of it. And then on the front side, you have an 8 megapixel front facing camera. And look, everyone knows the Pixel cameras are great, and this one is no slouch either. And also the performance is pretty good. I actually might like this better than the Pixel 5. Now, the battery life isn't great, it's 3140 milliamp, but if you're not a super heavy user, this phone will last all day. Just want a good camera for a solid phone by a company you know and trust? Pixel 4a, that's your choice. So here's the tricky region I talked about a little bit earlier. Phones have gotten so good up until the $400 mark, it's hard to justify a $500 or $600 purchase. Now, for example, you could pick up the OnePlus 7T, which is an older phone, but still amazing phone at 500 bucks, and it gives you some very crisp, ultra-wide macro images, and it's a good performance phone and a pretty clean Android experience. But even when you compare those two phones, I still think the Pixel 4a is a better choice, and that's just my opinion. So I'd still recommend steering clear of $500 or $600. To me, that's the dead zone, because if you go spend a little bit more, you get a better phone, or spend less, you get a phone that's better than that as well. So let's go to $700. This is where you start to see benefits of spending more money on a premium phone. For many people, the OnePlus 8T could be that option. But even though you get flagship processing like Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus, 120Hz refresh rate, 65-watt charging support, and a great build, there are some things left to be desired, and I think for majority of people, the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE fills that void. The FE has a plastic back, but I actually prefer it. It feels really good. Has a Snapdragon 865 processor, IP68 dust and water resistance, and it does wireless charging too, and those are two big features. Not only that, you get a Samsung camera, for better or for worse, but it is better than OnePlus's camera in general. It is a triple camera setup, so you do have your ultra wide, wide, and telephoto. And also for video, you get advanced features like 4K 60 frames per second, 32 megapixel selfie camera, and also you have a beautiful 65-inch AMOLED display with 120 Hz and a 4500 milliamp battery. Between the 8T and the S20 FE, it's a close call, and certain features may make you go to one way or another. I love OnePlus phones, but Samsung really brought it here with the FE. If you want to spend anything higher, say $800 for example, then I think the iPhone 12 is the perfect option. Now this year, the regular iPhone is so good, it's hard to justify spending more money for a Pro. For example, the display is now OLED at 6.1 inches, and it's the exact same resolution as the Pro. For multitasking or anything you want, there's Apple's A14 Bionic CPU and 4GB of RAM. If you're in the ecosystem, it's hard to get more value than just the regular iPhone. Things like IP68 certification, wireless charging, optimized software are all here, and the cameras are still great. I mean, look, you could spend a lot more money on an iPhone, but if you just get the regular iPhone, that is good enough for most people, including myself. But if you want to stay on the Android side, then you should take a look at the OnePlus 8 Pro. I really enjoy the phone. I love the phone. 120Hz screen, high resolution, great camera. I'll leave a link down below for that review. But yeah, you can't go wrong at this price point. This is like the sweet spot. But let's say you want the best of the best. The most you can get out of a smartphone, I think, is the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. Samsung has proven how much you can get from a flagship smartphone. 120Hz 6.9-inch QHD Plus display, premium build quality, great design, and powerful processors. You also get the complete camera package with a software experience and additional goodies like an S Pen. It's a great phone, and it might be the last Note phone available. The iPhone 12 Pro Max also falls in a similar category when it comes to price, although it doesn't quite bring you any more tangible value than its smaller version. Sure, the camera is a little bit better, but at the end of the day, most people are buying the 12 Pro Max for the display size and the bigger battery. And for me, which isn't super convincing if you're paying that much for a phone, but I think that's where Samsung has hit it out the park. The Galaxy Z Fold 2 is a smartphone that is well above this $1,000 price tag, but I feel if you're spending this much money, you deserve something big and a huge difference. The Z Fold 2 over the older Fold improves in so much stuff. It has a better build quality, design, attention to detail, everything with it. This is the most premium phone I have ever used. Outside is a 6.2-inch AMOLED cover, which opens up to a crazy looking 7.6-inch foldable AMOLED display with 120 Hz refresh. Content consumption with this device is on a whole new level, and Samsung has done so much with this phone, including things like flex mode, and it's just a overall flagship phone. This is like the cream of the crop when it comes to phones, and this is the foldable. If you want one, this is the one to get, the only foldable that is available that is worth the money in my opinion. It is a very expensive phone, don't get me wrong, but it does double as a phone and a tablet. So if you're looking to buy two devices, this might be the one device you could buy. So yeah, that is the cream of the crop phone right now. So there you have it. I've gone over the best phones you can buy at each price tag in 2020. And I've got to say, smartphones this year have been very impressive. Let me know down in the comments which one you plan to pick up, and also what is your list. Anyways, guys, I think I might be done for the year. I am extremely exhausted. Might take some time off and play some of these games that I bought recently. But anyways, guys, have yourself a happy holiday, and please, please stay safe and love and hug your loved ones close. Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.